Are my teeth clean? I don't know. They're disgusting. I don't know. They're gross. I don't know. I need bleach. Anyways, I'm terribly sorry. I don't know. It's just horrible. I don't know. Anyways, I was going to talk to specifically my frenemy. Friend enemy are called frenemies. Hector Dougal, because he has got so many health problems, and he gave up smoking pot because he was afraid that somehow it was going to get back to his partner, Derek Lennox, at ckin Consulting, that Hector was a regular pot smoker. But he held that back from his partner, long-term business partner, because he did. And one time, Derek Lennox came up from Toronto, and we were probably we were up for beers somewhere. I don't know. I don't know. Hector was very, very upset with me for mentioning something about something somewhere where somebody was smoking a joint. Because the whole subject of marijuana between Hector and his business partner was, oh, he flipped out on me. Was that the time, Hector, or was that a different time? I don't know. When you punished me by saying, well, I'm going to ban you from my presence for 6 weeks or something. In the middle of that 6 weeks, Hector, when you said, we won't be seeing each other. Well, it was one of those rock the fort kind of concerts at Old Fort William. And during the time period when you were being a cunt to me, big gay heart, Bobby Burrows, gave you, Hector Dougal, a ride. And then, after I did you that service, you went back to punishing me. We were going to call you vindictive. Beeson said, hold off on that. Belay that. Because he said, in the end, it's better not to speak and just let in the silence whatever arises in people's minds. So we'll try it again. Hector Dougal, you're up. Anyways, I do want to give you another service because why don't you go back to smoking pot? We just think, the CBD oil versions of these 510 pens would be good for your body as a tonic because it's good for your, I don't know, how old are you exactly? I don't know, are you 56 or 57? I can't remember. Approximately that age. Well, don't you complain of you get aches and pains? You do. You always, well, no, you didn't when you were young. You didn't complain very much at all. No, oh, you did. I think it was you. Or was it somebody else? Complained that their ski boots were too tight. Well, I don't know because those old ski boots, there was many times when I had to loosen up my ski boot bindings. That's not what I'm talking about, though. Sore neck or kinked back or just tension headaches or general feelings of malaise. I just don't feel well. Well, instead of whatever, the natural herbal remedy for old age, cannabis. Because if you go back, you can go back and using your brother's Google and go back to, go back to Little House on the Prairie, 1865 or something. Well, you can get pictures. Or you can go down to the Thunder Bay Museum downtown and look in the apothecary section and you can see those old bottles. I'm not sure if they have it there, but generally speaking, Because it wasn't until, well, it was the Woody Harrelson film about marijuana, weed, or whatever it was called. Beeson thinks it was it Gunsinger or Ansinger? Gunsinger, Anslinger. I think that was his name, but he was appointed the first drug czar, and the first thing he did was lobbying to get natural products banned and called they lead you into insanity, so that they can give you Rockefeller medicine, which is all placebo effect. Does that mean that this stuff is placebo effect? Yes, it is. So, does it? Well, because it does. It never gets me high. Never, 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 never. Government weed doesn't get me high. In the olden days, black market weed or dispensary weed, would it get me high? Yeah, maybe like, two little tiny puffs on the end of a roach would be enough for me to feel a difference in consciousness. But modern day, we would say that this is also placebo effect. Is alcohol? Well, don't do it. Because in the collective mindset of people on planet Earth, the belief is very strong that alcohol is poison and will get you exceptionally drunk and make you puke from alcohol poisoning. And among the collective now, marijuana doesn't get you high, and it does, for me, lead to the people who use remote neural monitoring to change the dials that they use to give me fibromyalgia. Let's be clear. I had instantaneous change from no fibromyalgia to a whole pile of fibromyalgia in the blink of an eye. Because the remote neural monitoring system that's used to torture me has got a button that says different diseases. And, the button that they flipped was fibromyalgia. It's rife frequencies, RIFE frequencies, that was written about, 100 years ago. It's built into the Dr. Evil remote neural monitoring torture machine. And then during the dramatic use of all these voice actors, the Lady Notochord, the devil, Lady of Cruelty, Lady of Karma, well, she said we are going to, because at that time the voice actors were playing fairy creatures from the fairy realm of mythology, and they were bad fairies, very, very demonic fairies. And anyways, they said, yeah, we know we're demonic fairies, and we've got really bad karma. We've got barrels and barrels and barrels, like old oil barrels that you might have seen in Donkey Kong, full of our horrible, toxic, karmic Miranda. That's Miranda rights for criminals in the USA, and so they call it karmic Miranda. I don't know, they've always called it karmic Miranda. That's what they called it. Their bad karma is karmic Miranda, criminal karma. And then they got these barrels and barrels, and they sent it to me. They can beam in video into your physical brain somehow. High-tech whiz-bang devices. Firefox was the movie, 1990, Clint Eastwood. He flew a Russian fighter plane with the power of his mind only and no joystick. So voice to skull and direct connections between human and machine. It was also shown more recently, the past few years ago, with the Keanu Reeves movie Replicas, that's available on Netflix. And if you watch that, you'll see that they can indeed upload and download a person's personality in and out of other bodies and robots. And then I suppose into virtual reality rules, where virtual reality rules require lots of bandwidth and internet. So the high bandwidth worlds that maybe are accessible previously, would think with an implant by Neuralink, Now we're going to say you don't need anything because everything is built innately into you. And what about using the machine in order to do what they do? Well, the collective belief is that um, with movies like Firefox, that people's brain their personal willpower could be magnified using technical devices, and that was the rumored story about ancient Atlantis, that the reason why it fell as a civilization and sunk into the sea was a gigantic cataclysm when there was a great wizarding war, aided by technological devices um, designed to create very strong thought forms and broadcast them, probably using maybe a crystal or something that sometimes you see in some strange pictures of people chakra. Like, it's not the heart chakra, but it's this one here. And using this to broadcast and control others, the third chakra. James Sarif, Alex Fairman in around Los Angeles is somebody who teaches something about this. Anyways, so would this help you out, Hector? Well, if a lot of your pains are caused by remote neural monitoring, depending on whether the operator wants you to use this in order to get some relief from your fibromyalgia, because it does give me some relief from my fibromyalgia. Anyways, but it doesn't get me high, no. So in the olden days when you got high on marijuana, is it just simply a dial on the remote neural monitoring Dr. Evil machine? Can it be both ways? Or is every emotion that you ever had always been controlled by the Dr. Evil machine? Because if you are fully in the virtual reality known as the Matrix, in the first Matrix movie, I don't think you could tell the difference. So, then why do you need a physical body at all? Because we learned in my last lecture, again, in quantum physics in like 11th grade, that there is no ground level physical reality. And even those data centers full of computers and hard drives and whatever, or soft drives or fixed drives or whatever the new modern drives are, they're not physical. You're going to say, metal is metal. I know. But it's spiritual metal. Because we're spirits having a human experience. And we're still spirits. And we still call ourselves human. And this seems to be physical. Normally every day we would say, that's a physical item. But quantum physics says that physical stuff isn't physical. It's something that appears to be outside of my body. And you think that the mind is housed in the brain, the physical brain. But this is not physical. This is a spirit. And it seems to have 3 dimensions when you look at it. It's just that this was the same teaching that we got from Ram Dass in the 1960s when he went to India and he gave LSD to his Indian guru. And Guru took a whole handful of LSD, way super overdose, and he swallowed it all. And then he made a crazy face like, but he smiled and he went back to being Guru, just humble to Guru. And he said, it didn't do anything to me. Because when you raise your consciousness, then all these truths about placebo effect are about everything. So what about cigarettes causing cancer? Well, placebo effect. I mean, they do broadcast that and indoctrinate you that, stuff in your environment, some stuff like PCBs is unbelievably long-lived, and it's in horrible toxic oil, and it's, it gets into your everything, and you never get rid of it, and it gets in the environment, and it gets into your fat, because it's dissolvable in fat, and everybody's got fat, and you can never get rid of it. PCBs, low-level toxin, and digoxin is another one. That's Phil Wally about those things, because Phil Wally used to talk about all those chemicals, beyond acid rain, there's all this stuff, malathion, dioxins and stuff. Just fear factor. But as you go into higher and higher consciousness, all these poisons are, well, they come up for review. Because they're all spirit. What can spirit? I don't know. Because we're still in a transitional state as we rise in consciousness. And we've got to go and revise everything that we were brainwashed into believing about. Everyday times is everything is Newtonian physics, billiard ball physics. Because they'd always try and muddy the waters about the difference between physical reality, Sir Isaac Newton, 1750, and 1905 with Werner Heisenberg and quantum physics. And everything is in a quantum field. And there is no physicality at all, because it's totally been replaced by the new theory of quantum physics, 1905. Anyways, I'm being attacked, as you can see again and again, because this is spiritual warfare. So what is it? Well, I don't know. That's another video. Go back and look at me talk about remote neural monitoring. But they showed you in Star Trek The Next Generation. It was an episode with the Traveler and the Starfleet engineering hotshot with a huge ego who figured that he could duplicate or assist the Traveler with moving the Enterprise at even faster speeds than what they could already go at. In the end, Kaczynski was his name, was shown to be a buffoon. He was the emperor wearing no clothes because he was totally not needed, and all of his computer calculations was garbage in, garbage out, and he just ran his mouth because he did discover somebody, the Traveler, who could move the Enterprise at even faster speeds. And I don't know, disappear in and out of dimensions. And he could shapeshift and appear to be anybody. The Traveler. And then he has had this relationship with Wesley Crusher. And at one point, he got Wesley Crusher out of Starfleet and out of that universe altogether. So we would say that the Traveler would be somebody much higher on the scale of human consciousness. Jesus did his miracles, and Buddha did miraculous things, and they calibrate at 1,000 on the scale of human consciousness. Wayne Gretzky, when I did muscle testing, he did his magic on the ice, the great one, when he calibrated at 900 on the scale of human consciousness. But he only got that because when he's off the ice, he's just a normal muggle. But that's what you get.